Welcome to my world. I'm your host, Kevin Rutherford. It's Monday, November 17th. Time for some industry insights. Got my co-host here with me, Brent Hutto. We'll get to that in just a couple minutes. It's also a Monday free-for-all. Phone lines are open. Jump in and join us, 855-950-3835, or hit that call now button on your app. I know everybody's looking forward to Black Friday. We're going to get an early start. Lisa and the team have come up with something new this year. Every day leading up to the holiday, they're going to have a new special. Some of our favorite brands, no codes, no catches, 24 hours to get the best deal possible. We're going to kick it off today with some good clean living made simple. 25% off all Primal Life organics. And you'll grab a free toothbrush when you spend $100 or more on Primal Life. They've got all the great natural tooth powders, pastes, no junk, no chemicals, nothing that's going to kill you. Head on over to the store at letstruck.com and grab yours. You've got 24 hours to do it. All right, let's get started today. Brent, good morning.
Well, good morning, KR, from the Big Easy.
The Big Easy.
The Big Easy. I'm down here where the big Mississippi is, and down in New Orleans at the Trimble Insight Show. And I'm gonna get onto the live cast here. Just 1 second, logging in. But I'm doing good, man. It's a very vibrant show. This Trimble is a major player in the marketplace. They have TMW, the TMSs. They bought PeopleNet, which is a big visibility platform. Then they bought AOK, which is the mapping and routing and all that. And they're also building out all these other pieces of the industry. And there's about 1 million trucks that use a Trimble product. So they're a big player in the marketplace. This is good. Yeah, that's a few.
Yeah. It's a nice share of the market. So what's the theme? That's a conference I've never been to. What's the theme? If I were there, what would
the theme? You would hear them talk about connectivity. You would hear them talk about. Let's see. I got your video rolling here. I like your sweatshirt today. It says, that's your hoodie. I must be cold where you are.
It is.
But the theme, the theme here is, here we go. There's the camera's coming. There we go.
There we are.
There. Boom. There we go. Yeah, I'm going to put my badge on so I'm at an event. There we go.
There you go.
There's Truck Parking Club. There's my little truck parking guy right there. Here he is right there.
All right.
There you go. So so the theme here is, basically, for the last, probably 6 or 7 years, Trimble has been building a connected platform where they've been either buying or building platforms that they can handle what is known in this industry as end-to-end operations for moving freight. So when you're a big fleet out there, if you own 100 trucks or 500 trucks or 10,000 trucks, you really like to have just like one major service that handles a lot of your capability of moving freight, and that's really what Trimble's been building out. So they're talking about connectivity, they're talking about security, and they're talking about your favorite word, AI.
Well, you can't help.
I didn't mean to bring it up.
It's unavoidable these days because my thought is that Trimble was clearly ahead of the curve on this. But what they're talking about now is what I believe is going to change just about everything, which is almost instant connectivity between everything and anything, and it's becoming so quick and easy. So you and I, we talked about this last Monday a little bit with Truck Stop developing MCP servers. So really what we have here is a lot of alphabet soup. So it used to be if you wanted to connect to another piece of software, you used either an API for kind of a quick, simple connection, maybe transferring a little bit of data back and forth. You might use what was called an SDK, a software development kit, to go a little deeper into somebody's software. Now what's happening is these MCP servers make connecting even faster and easier. And
Yep.
These things with AI now can be written in a couple hours. It's not weeks worth of development time anymore. So you used to have to really think, okay, are we going to put all this development time into being able to connect with this platform or not? And it was a cost thing. Well, that cost has almost disappeared.
Right.
Everything's going to connect to everything soon.
It has. And for scale players like Trimble, who, when you're so now you learn this when you deal with the companies that have scale. Scale means they handle a significant amount of the marketplace.
Yeah.
So when you've got technology that connects that many people, you have to be careful about how you change it. And so changing it can be very time consuming. I mean, it can take years.
Yeah.
To change it. And when TruckStop went from their old platform to the new microservices architecture platform, and for everybody out there in the tribe, when you swap to the sort of the newer, faster, more scalable technologies, you're able to. And it's one thing for your own platform; it creates better security, but it also creates better like accessibility from other products to be able to develop into your product. So it's really, really important. But most importantly, it provides like flexibility for these platforms. And so, but it can take, it took TruckStop 18 months to do that.
Yeah.
You could probably do it in less than 6 now. I'm just me guessing. Yeah.
Well, and one of the challenges for the bigger you are today and the more complicated your software is, the harder this transition is. Our development team has been telling me for a year, look, we get it. We know that AI is powerful. It's not as easy to use it on our legacy software. And
right, that's the problem.
And we're small. I mean, when you start looking at the size of some of these platforms, you don't just walk in one day and say, oh, we're just going to do everything with AI now. It's a...
Right, no.
So again, in some ways, the faster technology changes, the more it favors the little guy. And even in a case like this, where these large platforms, some small software companies would have never had a chance of connecting to them. Well, I think that's all going to change.
Yeah, well, I think that it's like this. It's like, think about how revolution changes in any platform. It's not usually by the bigger platforms. It's by somebody small doing something unique. And then the big platform goes, oh, hey, I want that. And they bring it in or they buy it. So it's pretty common in marketplaces to do that, because when you have scale in a marketplace, then you can sometimes wait and see because you have enough cash and you have enough customer base to wait and see. However, it makes innovation hard. And but when you're small, like when you're a one truck owner operator, a two truck owner operator, your innovation can be fast. So you can change much faster than bigger players can, and bring something new. And then you become a value to whoever you're trying to provide that service to. And on the freight side, it would be to the shipper, to the carrier, to the broker, larger carrier. If you want. So, but to me, I agree with you on that.
So let's talk about something else that seems to be, I don't know, maybe changing fast, or we've talked about how confusing some of the markers can be. We don't have clear direction. We haven't had clear direction for several years. There's an awful lot of negative news coming out of FreightWaves these days. Last week, I saw a post late last week, the Cass Freight Index, which I was talking about the week before, now showed its lowest volume since some month in 2009, which was the peak of that recession. And we're back to those kind of levels. I mean, that seems crazy. Where'd that come from?
Well, Cass is a temperature point in the marketplace. So Cass is just for everybody from the tribe standpoint. Cass is and I used to think they were a big data or invoicing system. They're basically a big bank, and so they help process the invoices of about I think it's like between $70 and $75 billion worth of freight spend. But they've just done a really good job of visualizing their data. So I need to dig a little further now, because I know the FreightWaves has reported this, that freight was down somewhere between 14-17% or something like that. And I think that's in segments. Now here again, Mr. Rutherford, if you're an owner operator there's more freight coming into the spot market, coming into your part of the market than ever before, because a lot of these fleets are pivoting to more dedicated runs. And so more of that freight's coming in to the spot market. We've seen it. I just saw a debate between the CEO of Freightways, Craig Fuller, and the guy who's sort of the head of data for DAT. And he said the same thing. He said, Craig, I know you see that some of the larger players their freight has reduced. He goes, but not in our market. And he means the spot market,
right,
which is the truck stop and DAT are the two players in that segment. We haven't seen any declines. And so, and it's because things continue to change. And it kind of goes back to your point. If you can change quickly, then take advantage of it.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, there's no doubt. And we're kind of getting some mixed signals. There's been a lot of markers that say 26, we'll start to see the upturn. We should have a couple of good years, but maybe we have a little bit of pain coming before. I get totally mixed reports from my tribe. I've got some people doing great. Some people say, yeah, it's not fantastic, but I'm not worried. And then other people really, really struggling.
Is that any different than any year?
No, I guess not. But you know what feels the extremes feel different. It feels like the middle's disappearing and the extremes feel different. People who are doing great seem to be doing really well. People who are struggling have been struggling for quite some time, and they don't see a way out. Right.
Well, and I think that if you're, what's the definition of insanity? Doing the same thing over and over and expecting a different result.
Yeah.
So, and this is where I just go back to, you coach this, and I've learned this through you, and I've learned this over the 30 years I've been doing this. Look, if you can change your operation, you may not want to, but if you love trucking more than you love the operation that you're currently in, you're not making the margin that you want, then
look around.
Don't miss the opportunity to and remember, you and I've talked about this, and I learned this from all these money people. They said, because I asked them all, I said, what's the number one thing that companies do wrong when they get investment money? And he goes, they all said the same thing. They all said they don't pivot off a bad idea fast enough because they've got enough money to continue to chase it. He goes, look, if it's not paying off, pivot. Just pivot to, if you're a flatbedder, maybe a different area of specialized is better in the marketplace. Maybe there's an opportunity somewhere else because of the geographic area of the country that you're in. There is always opportunity in a $1 trillion industry.
I agree. Did we talk last week about the crazy GoFundMe story?
We did.
Okay. Yeah. That would still.
The guy who basically made a bunch of mistakes and he wants somebody else to pay for it.
Yeah, for the most part. Yeah. Here's another one that has a tiny little tie-in to Truck Parking Club. What could go wrong with this business model? Take over a property with 300,000 square feet of retail space and turn it into a truck stop where drivers are going to be treated like royalty because that's what they deserve. What could go wrong with a model like that? The idea was
I don't know. Not. So I know what you're talking about.
the idea was
detail, Kevin.
Yeah, we're going to give drivers a bunch of stuff because they deserve it. Like they shouldn't even have to fuel their own truck. We're going to have full service pumps, and we're going to deliver fuel right to your parking spot if you want. And, we'll wash your truck while you're there, and we're going to pay for all of this through premium services, like better sit-down restaurants and chiropractors and banks and on and on. And how could something go? Well, I understand how it went so wrong so fast because it was a horrible idea to begin with. What I don't understand is where the money came from. And this one part of the story just totally, I couldn't even, the vice president of NHTSA went to this location in the beginning to try to convince the guy what a bad idea this was. This is how the story was written. Except after he saw it,
really?
He made the statement, this is the vice president of NHTSA. After he saw it, he was there to talk him out of it. He said, "This is the future of truck stops in the United States."
Wow.
Yeah, and
Well, I mean, people
they didn't make it a
people
year.
will pay for it. That's one thing.
They were 1 day shy of making it a year. But the other thing that made me crazy about the story is the founder did this, and it sounds like he knew nothing about the trucking industry from what I could gather. He did it because he said drivers deserve to be treated like royalty. Well, I don't even understand that statement, but he also screwed his employees out of pay for months, and he screwed the landlord.
Well, yeah, I heard that too.
Yeah,
I heard that
Come
too.
on.
Yeah.
Come on, you're being holier than thou with we're going to treat drivers like royalty because they deserve it, but our employees don't deserve to get paid even though they showed up for work.
Yeah, it's I heard a little bit about it, and I just heard that it was. And look, it all comes back to this, KR. You run a business, and I've run businesses, and if leadership doesn't have integrity and character and do the right thing, then they don't typically make it very long. They just don't. And you just got to make sure, because in the end, if you're not taking care of your employees, they are your face to the customer.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean,
it sounds like there was so many things wrong with this idea. We had a caller last week that said he was there while it was open. He said it may have been the hardest truck stop he had ever tried to get into.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Huh.
Yeah, I guess the entrance wasn't where you would have expected it to be on the property. When he finally found the entrance, it was around the back, and the right-hand turn was so sharp he almost couldn't make it in. Yeah, it sounds like everything about this entire idea was wrong. You just wonder how something like this gets started.
Right. Well, I think that the idea is they were going to build out all these services and everything that was going to be just a really full service place, but I don't think they got there to get all the services built out. You've got to make sure you've got enough time and money. And sometimes people do this, and I don't know why they do it. They go, we're going to open this part. Because trucks need parking for sure. I mean, I know that in spades, but if you've promised, here's the thing, and I learned this a long time ago by yours and my good friend, Mike Rowley. He said, don't set the wrong expectations with the customer. And this goes to everybody in the tribe. If you're going to work with shippers, don't set the wrong expectation. If you're going to work with brokers, don't set the wrong expectation, because that's what they will require of you in order to do business with them. And so to me, that's I think they just set the wrong expectations. I know they opened it before they had these other services that they were going to be treating truckers like royalty. Now look, let me back up to 1961. And an old legend, notorious guy in our marketplace named Mike Parkhurst. Do you remember that name?
I do.
He started Overdrive magazine.
Okay, I knew the name sounded familiar. All right.
So you're familiar with the Playboy Mansion, right?
Yeah.
Remember back in the day, the Playboy Mansion? Yeah. He did one of those. He did one of those for truckers.
No way.
I'm not kidding. I've got visual proof of it. He had it in his magazines. And he said the same thing. Truckers deserve to be treated like royalty. So he literally had this Playboy type trucker man. I don't know how long it lasted, but not long, because it's just not sustainable. We're in a business to business commerce.
Well, and let's think about something. The one service that is being supplied to drivers has been forever by truck stops. We figured out that there's just not enough revenue. I did see an interesting statistic in the story. $22 per space is what it costs to maintain a truck space.
Wow.
$22 a day per
national
space.
Average.
Yeah.
That's what if you park there, that's what you paid?
No, that's what it cost for the stop to maintain that space, to provide it and keep it there. That's a big number.
Okay.
And that's what
it's not too bad. Yeah.
We've always said is that.
What do you mean?
It's expensive to provide truck parking. It costs a lot of money to put in a space and maintain that space. And we also know, and I was shocked by this, was that when there is a solution, Truck Parking Club, there was a big pushback.
Mm-hmm.
And I get that the pushback is totally confused, and they focused on one thing. They focused on taking a space that was free and making it paid. That's what freaked everybody out. But the biggest part of what Truck Parking Club is doing is creating new spaces that never existed before.
Additional. Right.
That's correct, the solution. The solution now there is a partial solution in charging for the space that already exists. And that is, if there's a profit to be made, people will provide more spaces. I mean, going forward, if there is a profit margin in truck parking, which on our traditional model, there isn't. The truck stop gives that space up free and hopes to make it from other things they sell, and yet, what's the second biggest complaint about truck stops? I got to pay $4 for a pint of milk. Well, yeah, that's how this goes. They got to make their money somewhere.
Right. Well, and there's also, look, truck stops are having the same challenges everybody else is. When truckers run less miles, guess what they don't buy as much of? They don't buy as much fuel. All right. So the truck stop makes the honey to the bees is the fuel to be able to fuel the trucks. And so if they're pumping less fuel, they're making less profit because less people are coming in. So they've got challenges too. So if you want the benefit of truck stops and more truck stops, then they've got to find a way to keep their margins because they got to stay open too. It's very expensive to run truck stops. And so they're finding more ways to and by the way, that real estate ain't free. Nobody gave it to them. So they got to figure out a way to if you want that stop to stay there, then you got to find a way for it to stay open. It's got to be profitable.
Yeah, absolutely. Speaking of miles, that was my other story. Looks like miles are way down.
Yeah.
Did you see that?
Yeah, not surprised.
Yeah,
not surprised. Yeah.
Some shifting around in the people running 125 to 150,000 miles, which is a lot of miles. I mean, that group shrunk quite a bit. And what grew was on the other end of the scale, people doing like 75,000 miles a year. It's like they shifted from the very high mileage to the very low mileage group.
Right. What do you mean? Tell me what when you said they shifted?
Well, so that group that was at 125 to 150,000 miles shrunk by, I don't know, the number's like 17%, I think. I mean, it was big. Maybe it was 9. But then the group that does between 50 and 75,000 miles, which is really low mileage, it grew by that same amount. So it's like the whole group just shifted down. The group that does over 150,000 miles, which is really rare, stayed right at 9%, which it's been forever. But the whole group below that seems to have shifted down to quite a few fewer miles.
Yeah, I'm wondering how much of a shift that is. Now, were these among owner-operators, and where did you pull this information? If you don't mind me
it came from a CCJ report.
Okay. Would they have pulled that from like
survey.
ATVS, or would they have pulled it? Yeah. Oh, it's just a survey. Okay.
But this is another thing that made me crazy about this article, and I wish we could figure out a way to standardize our language. In this article, they went back and forth with 3 different terms. Leased owner-operator. That's pretty clear to me. I know what that means. Somebody owns a truck, they've leased it to a carrier. Employee driver. That's pretty clear to me. I know for sure what that is. They kept using the term leased driver. I'm assuming maybe that's a lease purchase program, but that term is so vague, I have no idea. And they used it a lot, leased driver. I'm not sure what that means.
Well, a leased driver would imply they're not employees.
Correct. But they also, in the same article, used the term leased owner-operator. So
this is in the CCJ article.
What's that?
This was in the CCJ article?
It was. Actually, I noticed it in two articles today. Let me see if this other one was the other article.
Right.
This was about, and this was no, it was in the CCJ article about what drivers want and miles and all that. They just kept going back and forth between those, and they used that term a lot, leased driver. And the only thing I could think is it must be a lease purchase. So they're saying we have leased owner-operators, but in a lease purchase, I guess they're using the phrase leased driver. The other article I wanted to talk about today was the fact that we're all kind of looking forward to the fact that we had a lot of drivers with CDLs that shouldn't have had them. And there's been a lot of talk of as we clear them out of the market, things will get better. Drivers' pay will go up, rates will go up, except I guess a court has already stopped this.
Yeah, well, and was that in California? Because they had removed 17,000 in California from, I didn't see exactly what category they came from, but it's either going to be EOP or non-domiciled. So,
it's a federal court in D.C. has decided that you can't enforce this. So states are going back to issuing these licenses again for now.
That's a mistake. So, and what was their reasoning? I didn't read the article. I saw the article, but I didn't read all of it.
Yeah, here's basically, it says the D.C. court ruled that the federal government did not follow proper procedures in drafting the new rule and did not articulate a satisfactory explanation for how the rule would promote safety.
That's what I saw, the one part, and they went back to the FMCSA default, which was, well, they're not, you can't show that they're unsafe. It's like, wait a minute. Aren't we supposed to have accurate information on licensing for commercial trucks?
Yes.
I mean, the fact that you changed the rule so someone can get a license in that's not a resident of that state means you can't track them. There's safety reasons or reasons why somebody has to establish residence in order for them to get their commercial license. So it's all around safety. So that's the safety issue. So my guess is they'll redraft it and come right back with it.
Well, I hope so. And here's what they cited data. The problem is that we know the data's all wrong. That was part of the problem. We didn't know this was happening. But now what they're trying to claim, the FMCSA is saying that immigrants with CDLs are a mere 5% of the CDL holders. Well, first off, if it's illegal, 5% is a lot. But then they claim it's only 0.2% of all fatal crashes. Well, we know the data's all wrong anyway. And how does this justify anything? One fatal crash by somebody who should never have had a CDL is too many. This is so easy to avoid. Stop giving license to people who can't even speak the language and aren't here legally.
Right.
But instead, they're trying to justify it by saying it's just a small percentage.
Is there? I guess I'm assuming within the FMCSA licensing that people that are non-residents, in other words, non-citizens, have been able to get a commercial driver's license forever? Have they always been able to be commercial drivers? Is this?
I don't think they've ever been allowed. That's the confusing part. I thought we had rules about this.
Why are we allowing them?
Right.
You don't. Yeah, I thought you had to be a United States citizen to have a commercial driver's license in the United States. Maybe I'm wrong, but
I always believed that there was a requirement you had to understand English.
Well, that's been since 1935.
Yeah, well,
so that's been a long time.
Yeah,
long time for you to know the language. But the idea of you could get a commercial driver's license and drive on the commercial highways in a business-to-business fashion, I think that ability has not always been there. It does. It's just. I guess I need to go do the research and look to see. We've been allowing. Good question. I mean, we certainly let qualified people come in our country and do lots of things for work. So maybe commercial driver's licenses are not exempt from that, or maybe they can't be exempt from it. I don't know.
I'm pretty big on states' rights. I don't think we should give too much power to the federal government, but we are in an industry where there has to be some federal level control because we cross state lines millions of times a day. I mean, the idea that in our industry we can allow states to write a whole bunch of goofy rules that conflict, that's what I believe was part of the whole Commerce Clause and the reason for it. I don't understand why we don't have a federal license.
Be careful. You talk about the states having some governance of this. You don't fall back into your Craig Fuller argument. So,
well, like but I do believe that we are in an industry where you've got to have some federal guidelines that don't allow states. I don't believe carbs should have ever been allowed to happen because of all the disruptions in the rest of the industry.
No, we allowed one state to dictate what the rest of the country is going to have to do. No way, forget that. That's ridiculous, and that happens quite often with California.
Yeah, it does, and AB 5 was another one. Now you have a state that's affecting somebody from as far away as Maine. The same thing they did with carbs. So it seems to me like, as much as I don't like giving the federal government more power, that a federal CDL license seems to make sense.
Well, it seems like it would. Yeah, it seems like it would for sure. So, yeah, I just look at this and the idea of governance into something that is as vital to the health of our nation, the health of our economy, the safety of its citizenry, and to your point, it requires some safety requirements because that's what the FMCSA is there. And then we have also, to me, that should, and then you tell me, I'd love to get your opinion on this. What do you think about the FMCSA having some more ability to govern things like when we talked about like economic security of operations, like for instance, what's going on with cargo security right now? They'll push back and go, "Hey, we're just a safety organization, and we're just a and they are. That's what they do."
Right.
So, what do you think about that being part of the solution?
My first reaction on that is that to me is more of a free market solution. I don't see regulation changing. Here's the other thing we have to remember about regulation. Even when it sounds good, like, a problem gets to the point where something, our attitude becomes, all right, this has gotten so bad, somebody has to do something about it. But that tends to be when we start asking the government to do something, whether it's a good idea or not. Here's what I want people to think about. For whatever reason, we can write all the regulations we want, but if they aren't enforced, then to me, you're making things worse. Well, and here's why.
Good point.
Take I guess I kind of knew this, but it really hit home last week when I was doing some research on things. The whole idea that if I wanted to today, now that I know how to vibe code, I think it would take me about a week to vibe code a brand new ELD, and I had no idea I could self-certify it myself. Self-certify it myself. That's a little redundant.
Yeah. But it sounded good.
Yeah. So,
no, I'm with you on that self-certification thing. That seems nuts.
Why even have a regulation? That's the point. So we have to stop writing regulations that we know right from the beginning we can't even enforce, because here's what it does. I don't like rules, but for the most part, I'll either follow the rule or I'll break it and I'll just suffer the consequences, whatever that might be.
Right.
Well, for the most part, though, I do try to follow the rules. And the problem is when you just keep writing rules that you can't enforce, you handicap the best people. And you give an advantage to the people who are willing to just break rules blatantly.
For sure. Well, that was CSA. I mean, that's what CSA got struck down, because they pretty much could only evaluate 3 to 4% of the market. and you can't model it for anybody. Yeah.
And we had to know that before it was ever released. Somebody had to be able to look at this and say, wait a minute, how could we possibly? It's just math. You can do this many things in an hour. Yeah. There's this many carriers. Absolutely. The math doesn't math.
Yeah. Right. Wait a minute. The math, is that like self-certifying yourself?
Yes. Yes. The math doesn't math. Yeah. We know this going in that they can't enforce these things.
Right.
We'll stop writing them then. Because I'm tired of the people who are just willing to, and we know there are carriers writing their own ELD software, self-certifying it, using it to cheat, because that's kind of the whole point. And even when they get caught, all they do is take that code, go start a new company, and they're up in a week again doing it all over.
That's right. Yeah, so it's a struggle. You're right. And this is why a lot of large fleets really struggle with the regulations, is because the first people they're going to go after is everybody has a lot of trucks, because they're easy to find.
Right.
And so, and when you're on the smaller ends of the market, like you and I are, it's like the people that don't want to follow the rules aren't going to want to follow the rules. It's just like ELDs. And I didn't even know this till a few months ago, that there are groups out there that will show you how to hack into an ELD and modify.
Well, that's what I mean.
I didn't know that could happen.
And many of these ELDs were designed to be hacked. That's the point. They're able to write their own software with very little oversight and no enforcement, and they're designed to be used to cheat. That's kind of the point. So if we think about this, we have a rule against drivers who can't speak English, and yet we have drivers who can't speak English. Lots of them. It's hard to determine exactly what that number is, but there's a lot. We have laws against drivers who aren't citizens or residents of a state. That's being taken advantage of. We all said, even though we necessarily don't like ELDs, the advantage was we knew it would drive rates up. And it did, because if the ELD is enforced properly, then you have less capacity overall and rates should go up. So we're all sitting around saying, why are rates still so low? Well, every reason I can think of is because the federal government has a rule and they're not enforcing it.
Right. Well, and you think about, or they're expanding the ability for participants to come to the market, which just means they have a rule, they're not enforcing it. Your point, this non-domicile thing, you look at the number of trucks that came in. So, and here's why I say this, and it goes back to the math doesn't math. I like what you said that. When you and I became friends, 1999, there were 3.5 million trucks in transportation. Up until about 2019, there were 3.5 million trucks in transportation.
Yeah.
25 years later, we went from 3.5 to like 4.2 during the pandemic.
Ooh.
What? I know, this is my point. So this is why, because I was talking to Noel about this. I go, Noel, you sure your math is right? The number hadn't changed hardly in 25 years. He goes, well, you got all these new participants coming in because the rates are so high. I got all these people coming in. I said, why? I mean, look, the marketplace is going to correct. How's this going to work? And I go, and then you go back to the non-domicile thing,
Mr.
Rutherford, and you go, holy crap, there were 600,000 that came in through 10 states. You and I talked about this a few weeks ago. 10 states, 600,000. Well, that's close to 4.2. So you want to know, look, and where did they come in? Did they all come in under fleets? Not, I don't know exactly where they all in the market, but I guarantee you, if the current administration can enforce the EOP and can enforce non-domiciled licensing and remove those, we're going to have an exit of 500,000 trucks. And I don't think that Noel's wrong, and I don't think that Craig Fuller's wrong in his estimations, that we're going to have an exodus of about 500,000. But what segment are they going to come from? They're going to come from the for-hire segment? Because if they come from the for-hire segment, you're talking about a pretty significant reduction in capacity.
Yes.
Which means rates will go up. This is Noel's point to that slide I showed a few weeks ago. Rates will go up. We need active, valid participants in our marketplace, not ones that just drive the rate down and drive safety down and drive everything else.
Well, and that's the worst part of all this is the new entrants into the market are the absolute worst.
Yeah.
I mean, they've made everything about the industry worse.
I have. It's been difficult, and it's not just lowering the rates; it's lowering the quality of service, it's
the
lowering
safety,
and lowering. It's all across the board, and then look that whiplash is onto good providers, because then all of a sudden you're measured differently.
Yes,
and then let me bring up something that maybe is important.
Okay,
what is cargo theft? What has cargo theft done to how carriers, one truck owner operators are evaluated? Well, I know that now there's like 45 different pieces of information that they are evaluated on that they have almost no control over the data that broker or that shipper is seeing. 45 different things. It used to be like 5 or 6. And the struggle with that is that it knocks them out of contention to haul load maybe from their favorite provider if there's an issue with the data. Now why is this a problem? Why did I just talk about this? This is a problem because at Truckstop, we get to see we have the largest database of for-hire carriers in the world. It's like more than 400,000. I can tell you that more than 35% of the time, the data that says they're wrong is not valid. So it's like there's something wrong with the data on, if you take all of them, 35% of the time, if it knocks somebody off a load, they shouldn't have been knocked off a load. This is why it's really, really, really important. All these services are out there, and look, I'm not saying they don't do a good job. I mean, this data, this thing with carrier or cargo theft is so serious that you're being measured in ways you don't even know.
Yeah, I'll bet, and it keeps coming back to what we've been saying for years, which is that there's a model on the small carrier side that works and avoids almost all of these issues. And had you been, and that's probably why we are seeing this bigger and bigger divide. We're losing the middle. Yep. We have people doing really great because they're using the right model, and we have people struggling and exiting the market because they're using the wrong model and they're not pivoting fast enough from the wrong model. And then what we have is the group that's causing the problem, which is this group that doesn't belong here, shouldn't have a license, will do next to anything. They're not following any of the rules whatsoever. And we just need this enforced somehow. And here we have, it was starting to be enforced, and we've had a court overturn it already.
Right. Well, when California, one of our most liberal states, exits 17,000 licensed carriers, then that's an interesting take on it. We say all this, but we say all this for the tribe out there because it's like, okay, well, this is the marketplace you're living in and you're working in. How do you adjust to it? How do you figure out how to work within it? We can complain all we want, but it's like in the end, other than maybe making us feel better about it, that somebody understands our situation, doesn't help our bottom line. So it doesn't help our sustainability as an operation. So you got to figure out what's the solution.
Yeah, absolutely. Hey, one of the things I've been hearing kind of from the road, from the real world, is that one of the problems we've been talking about forever, and you're very familiar with, seems to be easing up. It seems like I'm hearing that parking is not nearly as hard to find these days.
Well, in the last few weeks, I've heard a few of the same comments, which is, maybe parking's getting a little easier, which is great for truckers, man. We're all for that. I mean, certainly Truck Parking Club's doing a lot to help that. And then I've heard a great look. We just had a conversation with Rebecca Euler, who is the president and CEO of the Pennsylvania Motor Transportation Association. So the trucking association that's with it, the great state of Pennsylvania. Because she worked with the governor and secretary of state of Pennsylvania to help them put emphasis back onto their Department of Transportation to say, where can you find free parking that you can build out that's on government property? So they are working towards, and I think it's like 331 locations and 16 or 1,700 parking places that the state has committed to get live for truckers by the end of 2026. And this is in way stations and rest areas, in on ramps and off ramps, but all legal spaces. Right. And here's the thing I like about it is the state, and was really driven by the Secretary of State there, basically took action and did something. And they got the dollars. They already have the budget dollars committed to go and do it, where they got to pave, or they got to put some gravel down, they got to do some things where trucks can park. The cool thing is that we love it at Truck Parking Club. We love it because we're for all parking. We're not just for paid parking. Right. We're for all parking. Yeah, because that's the government should be taking their responsibility at the state level and at the federal level for helping trucking. No doubt, it's part of their responsibility, because you know why? Because it benefits the country.
Yes,
it's not just because we're a regulation group. That's fine, but it benefits the country, which benefits our economy, which benefits the citizens. So I love it. There's a great piece I'll send over to you from what they did, and we just had a great conversation with her last week, and one of her chiefs of staff, Anthony Cloud, and it just was really great to hear them talk about how they were able to work with their state to bring these parking places in vital areas. Now, where Parking Club helps is that we're in all the other areas, because truck stops have the major thoroughfares covered pretty well.
Exactly,
they've got the major a lot.
Right.
But try to park in Miami, try to park in Chicago, try to park in Dallas, try to park in the Inland Empire, try to park in any major metro area, Atlanta, just name it, Charlotte. They're all challenged, and so you need more and more spaces there so you can be efficient in wherever you're going to be. And so that's our whole goal, is to create the efficiency and optionality and safety, where these trucks can just have choice.
There was about 2 years during my career that I spent the majority of my miles on the Pennsylvania Turnpike, which is
I've been on it many times.
Kind of a unique road. It's
very unique.
It always has been outrageously expensive. The tolls are just insane.
I think it was voted number one worst road in America for a long time too.
Yeah. Now here's the crazy part. Other than the cost, and you know what? I dealt with the cost because it was part of my model. I just knew if this is where I'm going to run freight from, that I need to build in the cost of these tolls as high as it was. And I would leave Northeast Ohio and go to New York City a lot. So not only do you have the Pennsylvania Turnpike tolls, you've got all the bridge tolls getting in and out of New York. Right. So when you run that area from the Midwest to the East Coast and primarily to New York,
tolls are part of life.
It's just a part of your model. But as much as people complained about the Pennsylvania Turnpike, it might have been my favorite road to drive on. One, it's not boring. It's not long and straight and flat.
No.
I loved
the beautiful drive.
I loved the fact that there was just random pull-offs everywhere. Just a little bit of gravel and a wide spot on the side of the road. Some of them would fit 2 or 3 trucks. Some of them might fit 10. That'd be a big one. Sometimes you could get 1 or 2 trucks, but there was always a place to pull off and take a nap. That's when you used to be allowed to take a nap without screwing up your hours of service. Yeah. We need to go back to that. And I don't know why we don't have more roads that just have wide spots or on the ramps where we know everybody wants to park anyway. Make it a little safer to park on ramps.
Right. Yeah. And I think that's what Pennsylvania DOT is trying. And I know that as much as the ATA has been criticized by the smaller players in the marketplace, the ATA actually is trying to work with the other state associations to help them find this free parking. And to me, as soon as I saw this, I called Rebecca and said, I got to get an audience with you. I got to talk to you. How are you doing this? Well, tell me what you did. Tell me how it worked, because this is where your trucking dollars are helping.
Yeah.
In other words, whoever's supporting the Pennsylvania Motor Transportation Association. This is where it's helping. This is how it's supposed to help. And here's the thing I said to Rebecca. I said, Rebecca, correct me if I'm wrong, but is this the first time in a decade that someone's actually committed to free parking places and they're going to build them by any government?
Yeah.
She goes, yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
I said, well, I don't know federally they've built none. So it's like, golly, we can complain about lots of things, but dang, I'd just rather have a solution.
Yeah, exactly.
And because if I got a solution, at least I can figure out a way to build it in my cost of my customers, because if not, I just can't serve them.
Right.
So.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, all right. With the little bit of time we have left, what's going on in the market this week?
Well, I'll tell you what. Let me tell you what's going on in the market this week. You talked about CAS systems showing freight dropping a little bit. And remember, CAS's data is going to be at least 30 days old. And so, and I don't know if it's 30 days old. I don't know if it's the previous 30 days. So maybe it's 60 days old. I'm not exactly sure the exact time frames that's in there. It is good data. I will say that's good data. I've met the guys from CAS and they know what they're doing. But, and it's all large fleet. What they do is they do invoice payment processing and stuff for large fleets. That's how they get the data.
Got it.
Because they're a bank. They fund the fuel. So, but the marketplace in general, last week we dropped about 2 or 3% below the 5-year average. Well, now this week, just last week on Tuesday, because I measure Tuesdays, those are always the high point in the market. It dropped again. So maybe there's some relevance there. Now, what I probably need to do, and let me look at that real quick. Let me look is that, well, I'll give the update and I'll look at this real quick. So freight volumes dropped to about 10% below the 5-year average. Now, let me see if it did the same thing last year, because it did the same thing last year and it's just seasonal. Okay. So that's super, super important to know. Let me go here. Let's see if let me find this piece of data right here. Okay. That's the market demand. That's rates. Rates have been basically flat not flat, but the same for like the past 6 weeks. For some reason, not coming up on my chart here. All right, so I'll go back and look at the. I'll tell you real quick. But my point to you is that all right, so you've got volumes have dropped. Now I'll look to see if it's the same year over year. The pressure in the marketplace decreased too, from about 80 to about 72. So that just means that there's less pressure. Maybe that's probably because the freight volumes decreased some. If you look at it over the 5-year average on pressure on freight availability in the marketplace, about the same. It's like 72 right now. It's normally for 5-year average, it was 75. So those are for the most part the same. Rates did drop 2 cents week over week from 2 weeks ago to last week, from 228 to 226. Year over year, it was 225 last year at this time. So 225, 226, flat. If you look at van rates, stayed the same. They were $1.95. Now this is the carrier rate. Remember, these aren't the broker rates. So the marketplace, and you have 15% roughly on any of them to kind of understand the actual market rate. And these are non-negotiated rates as well. Flatbed was $2.33. It dropped 5 cents to $2.28. Refrigerated was the only one that went up. It went up 9 cents, $2.49 to $2.58. The thing that I always keep talking about is the outbound tender reject index. This is the contract market. So contract freight that continues to get renegotiated went from 5.84% to 5.83%. So basically the same. The thing that I keep kind of reminding all the tribes is that when the outbound tender reject index is above 5%, we get more freight in the spot market. And so if you want to talk about the reasons why the mileage has decreased, it's because more larger fleets are running dedicated runs. And dedicated runs are more predictive. They're typically shorter because they got to get back, right? So they're typically shorter runs. So I'm not surprised when one of the top 3 fleets in America that we all know and we all see going up down the road have changed their one-way haul from a mix to dedicated haul. Let me just tell you how the percentage. So this large fleet, and I'm talking about, they have more than 10,000 trucks. Okay. There's only 3 or 4 of those. Okay. There's only 3 or 4 of those. I won't tell you who, but I won't tell you who. But I don't know if I have a liberty to say.
Yeah.
they're dedicated runs. In other words, when and I know everybody on the call knows what a dedicated run is. They basically say that truck works just for that company.
Right.
They're dedicated runs. It used to be 20% of their own fleet, their company trucks, were dedicated.
Okay.
Right now, it's 70%.
What?
Yep.
No way.
70%. 70% of their, yep. Here's why. It's the only place they can get enough margin to remember, and this is a publicly traded company. So, here's the thing, Tribe, when you're publicly traded, you're beholden to your shareholders. And so if you can't keep your shareholder price going, you won't have a job. It doesn't matter whether you're the CEO or somebody else, you just won't have a job. And so you've got to make sure your efficiencies are where they need to be. And when you move hundreds and hundreds of thousands of pieces of freight every year, you're shifting all the time. So here's what they're doing. They're taking their one-way long-haul trucks, which is basically the contract marketplace. They're moving those into dedicated. They're taking their one-way contract and moving it down because they can't make the margin on it. And you know why? Because they got billion-dollar brokerages that are going to hire you as an independent owner operator. They're going to hire you in the spot market because they take that freight, they move it to their brokerage,
right,
and move it in the spot market. You know why? Because they can buy trucks for cheaper
than they can
make a margin on it.
Right.
That's why. So let me check the year over year and what we're talking about, because I want to see if where we are. Let's see. So this week it was okay. So this is I got to go all the way to the right. So I got this giant for the Tribe. What I'm doing, I have this giant data sheet that shows all of the truck stop data on it, and I'll show it to you. It looks like this. This is. I know this is boring, but it's just gonna. Can you see that?
All we can see is a white screen. Got to use dark. Yeah, got to use dark mode.
Oh, no. Well, here's what. No, there. Just because there's nothing on the screen. Oh well. All right. I'm not gonna screw around. I struggle with my
nice
iPad.
Try.
So let me just show you what. Well, here's this data though that I've got there is really great because I can go back all the way to 2014. So if you want to know what this year looks like in 2019, which was the last year after a big year, I can tell you. So let's see. So we're in week 45. So what is week 45? And we are at for total MDI was okay. So let's go back to week 45. Okay, roughly the same. So the variables are roughly the same, within a couple of points of each other. So there is a dip. There's a dip at this week, and then it comes back up. It starts coming back up after that because it. Yep. Okay.
So I'm still trying to get my head around when you were talking about that fleet and how their dedicated changed. When you said it went from 20%, in my mind, I was thinking you were going to say 40%, that it doubled, and I would have been shocked by that.
Yeah.
But it more than tripled.
Yeah, for sure.
That's
That's
big.
And I just found this out just like three or 4 weeks ago. This isn't like I found it 6 months ago. I found it. I was at a big conference in the Journal of Commerce shipper conference in Chicago, and I was speaking there, and I ran into my friend, and I said, "Hey, I heard this about 9 months ago. This other big carrier in the marketplace said they were doing this." I said, "How's that affecting you guys?" And they said, "Oh, 20 to 70." And I was like, "Holy snap.
Yeah.
That's a lot."
That's huge. That's a major shift.
Yeah. Well, it all goes, and so when I'm talking to Noel about this, Kevin, Noel just goes, "Look, big fleets are smart mathematically. They know where to make their margins. They have to. They don't have a choice."
Right.
So
interesting.
Yep.
All right. Well, we're down to some final comments. I'm going to let everybody know that it is a free-for-all today. Phone lines are open. Jump in and join me in the next couple of minutes, or I'm going to call. What does the president get to call? I'm going to put a lid on it. Isn't that what the president would do? Wasn't Biden famous for that? I'm putting an early lid on it.
Is it?
I think most
one
days.
One of my favorites. Yeah. What about? I watched some political program one time, and it was all about the White House and everything. And when the president or the Secretary of State or somebody walk in the room, and they needed to discuss something private, they'd say, "Give me the room."
Yeah, give me the room.
I mean, everybody else has to leave. Everybody else has to give me the room.
Yeah. All right. Well, give me the channel. If you don't call in the next couple minutes, I'm putting a lid on it. I'm going to take an early day.
No, you are? Okay.
I might even take an early day and do nothing. I am burnout. It's been a long year. I've just been working too much. Been working way too much. Been working nights, weekends, early mornings, all good stuff. But I think I've hit the wall.
I got it. Well, everybody, even the champ needs a little rest. I
think I could use a little rest. So, look, see.
Yeah, I was pretty wiped out after we got.
Yeah, the tribe doesn't want me to rest. They're calling. I guess I did ask, so that's fair. No rest for the weary.
You got it.
All right. Well, enjoy the rest of your conference.
I will.
What else you got going on this week?
There's a lot going on. Well, I'm going to be in Austin, Texas, on Wednesday morning. I'm chairing the truck parking committee. The state Motor Transportation Association for Texas is very interesting what's going on nationally for truck parking, and they asked me to chair the committee to help them work with the ATA and the federal government for advocacy, for visibility, availability across the marketplace. So I'm very, very honored that John, my good friend, CEO of Texas Motor Transportation Association, or Texas Transportation Association, asked me to do this. And so very excited. So I'm going to kick off the committee on Wednesday morning talking about this, just how it can work really beneficially with transportation. This is kind of why I go back to it. When there's anybody out there complaining about the paid parking, I'm like, well, look, trucking's never been free. And what you want is the best options to be able to run the business the most efficiently. And so if you got that, guess what? You can always find a way to be profitable. And that's the way that, to me, and that's why I'm excited about what I'm doing.
Options are a good thing. So here's the big question. While you're in Austin, are you going to use a robo-taxi?
Yeah. Ooh, I've never done that. I asked my wife one time when we were there, I said, "You want to get in a robo-taxi?" She goes, "I'm not getting in one of those."
See,
I should probably try it.
I want you to do it so you can report back. No, I have not. I'm going to do it.
I'm good for you and the tribe. I'm going to do it.
There we go. I want you to report back.
I'll do it.
Now, I will say, and I've been saying this, I know this is not popular in this industry, but you know me, I'm just going to call it like I see it.
Yeah, for sure.
Tesla probably has the best records on autonomous driving. I mean, they've got the most miles. They've been doing it the longest. Tesla's vehicles now have full what they call FSD, full self-driving. I mean, you get in the car and you tell it where you're going, and it does all the driving, not just highway. I mean,
wow.
When you come out of the mall, you tell your car, "I'm at this door," and it comes and picks you up. I mean, this is pretty advanced stuff.
Well, maybe it's the future.
Currently.
Well, I am a person. Go ahead. Yeah, go ahead.
Here's the point I want to make. Currently, based on Tesla's data in full self-driving mode, the autonomous vehicle is at least 7 times safer than a human already. 7 times.
Oh.
Their crash record on full self-driving is pretty darn incredible. They're now starting to show videos of how many accidents their technology has avoided. Like that would have been the fault of the other vehicle. Like vehicles coming across the center median on an interstate, and the Tesla vehicle being able to avoid that car where a human may not have.
See it and mitigate it faster. Yep. Yeah. Well, there's definitely going to be scenarios where they're going to be tremendously safer. And I think there'll be also scenarios where a vehicle doesn't know how to use judgment, and so therefore it was unsafe. It was not as safe. And so I think it's a new horizon.
It's certainly
something that we need to be utilizing, but it'll just like everything else. And this is what I've learned. No matter where you are, no matter what you do, if you accept something new and you do something new, there's always a trade-off. always a trade-off. So just watch the trade-off. Are the trade-offs worth what you're gaining? And if they are, then maybe you consider it. But I'll do the robotaxi in Austin just for you.
I want to hear the report. So are you going to try to get a Tesla or a Waymo?
Well, I mean, can you tell me which one do you want me to do?
I don't know. Tesla's cars are pretty impressive. Waymo is actually using the electric Jaguar SUV as their vehicles. It's kind of a high-end vehicle.
Yeah, I've seen them. Yeah, I've seen them.
Yeah.
Well, that's because they don't want you to get in the car, right?
Yeah, that's right.
If you don't want to ride that Jag, as long as it operates well,
you have to admit it's got to be an odd thing to get in that vehicle with no driver.
Well,
it's.
Well, I'm pretty comfortable in those things. I mean, my wife's super uncomfortable because I'm like you. I travel a lot and I do things, and when I'm in an Uber, it's usually I'm going to the airport, and I'm coming from the airport, and I'm usually tired because I've been gotten up early in the morning. I've been going hard for 3 or 4 days, and I sleep in Ubers.
Yeah.
So it doesn't bother me a bit to sleep in an Uber. My wife's like, I was with her in one city, and I'm over there like this. Well, she's like hitting me, and she goes, wake up. And I go,
what?
I go, is there a problem? What's going on? She goes, how do you know where we're going? I go, it's on the map. I mean, he's going the direction I want to take a nap. She goes, you can't do that. I'm like, what? But part of it.
Yeah.
I told her, where was I? Oh, I drove, where was I? I was in Chattanooga, but I flew from Chattanooga to somewhere. Anyways, I slept for like 30 minutes in an Uber. It didn't bother me. Oh no, when I was driving from small town South Carolina back to my father-in-law's birthday party, and it was like a 45-minute drive. I slept like 38 minutes of it. It was great. But anyway,
there you go.
Great to be with you today. I'll let you know on the drive.
All right, perfect. We'll talk to you next week.
All right, brother.
All right.
Take care. Take care.
All right.
Appreciate you, brother.
Let's get to some phone calls. It is a free-for-all. Let's get started in Virginia. Paul, good morning. I guess it's afternoon for you now, right?
No, I'm on Central Time.
In what? Not in Virginia,
Never
you're not.
For me. Yeah, I'm on my EOD. I'm on Central Time. It never changes. I don't care where I am.
Oh, got it. Okay.
I'm always in Central Time.
Got it. All right.
Yeah.
Right.
I tuned in late, and I heard you talking about the FMCSA.
Yes.
They might as well just do away with them and stick it into the DOT because they're about as useful as an ashtray on a motorcycle.
I couldn't agree more. I'm not a fan of most of the government alphabet agencies, and maybe I really despise this one because I have to deal with it all the time. But I don't know of a more worthless government organization that has screwed more things up than the FMCSA. I'm not really sure what they've ever done that worked.
Big pause there. No comment because I can't think of anything either. So everything they touch, it either don't work or it takes them too long to roll it out.
It's every program is a disaster. Like you said, it's years behind what it was supposed to be. They put it off till the next session over and over and over. When they do finally release some sort of a program, we immediately find out that they have no ability whatsoever to enforce it. We need a total revamp. And you're right. We have the DOT. But let's go back to the basics.
Yeah. And they can't keep ahead of that agency. Hell, they've had more heads of that agency than I've had trucks.
Yeah.
Or girlfriend. Either.
Yeah. So many of their programs have been a total disaster.
So a couple of weeks ago, I did ride in the Tesla for the first time, an Uber.
Okay.
At the Pittsburgh airport from Saxonburg. And it was nighttime, and that camera technology is incredible. Because he had the big screen up there in the middle.
Yeah.
With all the cameras and everything.
Yeah.
And I think he was just sitting in the seat, but I don't think he was doing the driving. But
probably not.
It was near perfect. But, yeah.
So, and that's a long drive. From Pittsburgh Power to the airport's a pretty long drive. An hour, little more than an hour, isn't it?
Yeah. 1 hour and 3 minutes, I think it was.
That's what I thought. Yeah.
And it was like 7 o'clock or something when he picked me up on the Friday night, and we got to the airport just after 8. But when I saw the camera technology, I'm sitting in the back seat, but he had the front seat pulled all the way forward, so you had a real good view of it.
Yeah.
And also had that camera technology in this truck.
Yeah, wouldn't that be nice? Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. So
what else you got today?
that's what's happening. I'm on the way back. I'm on the way back to Pennsylvania and to get my little problem child looked at again. So,
Oh boy.
oh,
All right. Well, let us know.
yeah, that's what I said.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right.
Maybe we'll know more tomorrow.
Well,
Okay, thanks.
You're welcome. Keep us clued in. Let's go to Ohio. Herschel, welcome.
Hey, Kevin.
What's on your mind today?
Well, as you know, I haven't driven this truck to make $1 since July. So
Yes.
I have neglected, evidently, and going out to start it periodically to keep the power up and whatnot. So I've been doing that here recently, and I thought, oh boy, dummy, you didn't go out and start it often enough. So the batteries, they're new. They were new when I got this thing back in October a year ago. They'll start the truck, but they're not happy about it. But it starts. It's just not real happy.
Okay.
So I went out this morning, took all the cables off so they're not still jumped together, and load tested each battery one at a time. All 3 of them passed, no problem. Everything stayed good there as far as the load test goes. So I thought, well, I'm going to put the charger on to top up the power in the batteries because that would be a whole lot simpler than letting it sit out there and run for 12 hours.
Right.
So I have it on the 35 amp setting because 200 for start, that doesn't make sense. And 2 amp trickle charge, it'd be out there for a week. So I got it on the 35 amp. The battery charger that I have is one of them bigger ones that you can roll around. You don't have to carry it.
Right.
So on the amp meter, there's 10, 20, 30, 40, and then red is if you're using full blast instant start setting.
Yeah.
When I turned it on, it initially, the needle went to the 30 mark, and then it fell back, which makes sense because it's a 35 amp setting, but then it fell back to 10, which tells me the battery is weak. How long on each battery individually to get it up to snuff but not cook it? Okay, bright ideas?
Well, there's a couple things going on. We don't know for sure that because the amperage dropped back, there's anything wrong with the battery. It depends on the charger. I mean, the best maintenance chargers will auto sense and charge at the proper amperage, is my understanding of it. The best analogy I've ever heard for this is if you take a shot glass and turn your faucet on full blast and stick the shot glass under it and then pull it away and try to get it full. It's almost impossible because the water's going in so fast it all spills over. That's the best analogy I've heard for battery charging. Sure, we can throw a whole bunch of amps at it when it's really dead, and that will charge faster. As we get closer and closer to full, you have to slow down that amperage if you want it to be completely topped off. Otherwise, you're going to keep falling short. You may get to 90%, 92, whatever. But if you're pushing the amp so fast, you get that same spillover effect. And it's probably not completely technically correct, but it kind of gives you that visual. So the best, and here's the other thing. When you've got a truck sitting, by far it is much, much better to put a trickle charger on it than to go out and start it once in a while. And even a 2 amp trickle charger, right? If you park with the trucks with the batteries pretty close to topped off, a 2 amp trickle charger will do just fine because it's all you're really trying to do. And that's the best place for the battery. I have one on my farm tractor that is permanent, and it's wired right to the battery, and then it's got a plug end on it. And when I park it, I just plug it in, and it's trickle charged all the time.
Okay, now, since you brought that up, I was going to go there, but you beat me to it.
Okay.
I do have a battery tender.
Yeah, that's exactly what you want.
Trickle charger.
Yep.
Okay.
That's what you should put
Now,
on it and leave
this is a
it on
semi
it.
truck, and it has three.
Right.
It has 3 batteries, not one. If I connect it to just one, obviously, because it's all you can, is that trickle charger going to,
Yes,
to use the word,
spill
over
over
to all 3, or should I move it all the time?
No, they're all wired together. It'll just keep flowing. One battery pulls from the next, and yeah. So trickle chargers and like I said, you could get that same kind of trickle charger that you hardwire to the battery itself, and just leave it there. And then when you park your truck, you just plug it in.
Well, that's what I have.
Okay, yeah,
that's what I have. I have one of those.
Yeah, that I would just put it on and leave it.
So what do you think about an hour for?
No, you just leave it plugged in all the time.
About an hour for each one.
I
know that, but to get it brought up now, an hour for each battery at 35 amps, and then put the trickle charger to it to keep it there.
However you want to get it, depend. If it's going to be parked long enough, you can just put the trickle charger on it, and it will eventually charge the battery all the way up. Even at 2 amps. I mean, 2 amps is 2 amps.
Okay.
It just takes longer, but it will charge all 3 batteries fully.
Right.
And if it's sitting a lot for long periods of time, then you might as well just plug it in and let it go. If you wanted to, you could start it. Starting it may be the best way to get it up to full. Or you could throw the 35 amp on there, or just throw the 2 amp, the trickle charger, and be done with it.
Okay. All right. Good enough.
All right.
That's all I was curious about, because if I ever get to go back in, I don't want to walk out and I got a dead key. That would really suck.
Absolutely. That's exactly right. So put a trickle charger on it, and anytime you park it, plug it in.
I will put it in there.
All right. The other option doesn't work very well around here in the wintertime is solar is really good for that kind of charging too.
Yeah, I'm not buying all that stuff.
Yeah.
I already got a trickle charger.
There you go. Wire it up.
All right, bud.
All right. Good talking to you. All right. Let's go to Nevada. Tom, what's on your mind this morning?
Kevin, I sent you, I just took I bought that OPS from y'all. And then anyway, it was just on my car. I had Angie send that over to you. Fuel sample. And,
fuel sample or oil?
Wondered if you might take a quick look at it. Oil sample. I'm sorry. Sample. It's fuel diluted, so that's why I had fuel on my brain.
Oh, wait a minute. This is for a car.
Yeah, just for my car. I'm not working right now, and I don't want to panic, but
I gotta get my brain around. Honestly, I gotta tell you that I don't know much about oil samples on gasoline engines. There is a difference. I mean, I can look at the obvious stuff, but I don't know like what are acceptable patterns, and it's different. This one's saying that fuel dilution at 3.9 is a level 3 on a diesel engine. This would just be borderline where we're starting to worry about it. 4% is where I start to pay attention. You're at 3.9, but everything else on the sample, I see silicon at 12, but they didn't flag it at all. I see virtually no wear metals to speak of. We have no soot, which would make sense because these new gas engines burn so darn clean. Here's the one number that totally freaks me out, but it's completely acceptable. The oil in this is a 0 W20 weight. So your viscosity...
Well, I know, it's just ridiculous.
This stuff's like baby oil. It's so darn thin. 7.2% viscosity, and that must be normal because they didn't flag it at all.
Right. Yeah. Isn't that crazy? 0.20. They put full synthetic, but it's a blend. But it's Hyundai. I just get it changed at Hyundai all the time. But I went a little bit long on this one. It was like 6,000. I usually get it changed between 4,000 and 5,000 miles, and I did it at 6,000 miles this time.
So what's the driving pattern on this car? A lot of short trips?
No, a lot of long trips. We're about 60 miles outside of Vegas. And so we go to Vegas a lot. My girlfriend goes there to work. So, I mean, it's not a very old, we've only had it a couple of years, got it new, but it already has 120,000 miles on the damn thing, you know?
I would probably...
Yeah, a lot of miles on it, but I wondered what you would think.
What I would probably do, did you did change the oil?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
That was the 6,000 mile oil that I put in there.
Yeah. So what I might do is give it 2,500 miles on the new oil and sample again. And if you've got any kind of fuel dilution at 2,500, then I would get it looked at. You know, the fuel dilution seems really high for a gas engine, but I also don't see any problems. There's virtually no wear metals to speak of. There's oxidation and nitration are so low. So the fuel dilution seems high, but it's not causing any problems. So it's either a long, slow buildup that doesn't seem to matter, or it just occurred towards the end of that cycle and we haven't had time to see the damage yet.
Yeah, I wonder if it's just one of like a leaky fuel injector. One thing I can think of.
That's the most likely thing it's going to be, right?
Right. Okay, cool. All right, I'll get her changed this week, and then get another sample from you guys.
Yeah, that's the way I would do it.
I appreciate it.
All right.
Okay. Thanks, man.
All right. Talk to you later. All right, that's going to do it for our phone calls today. Quiet day. My brain could use a little rest. I think I may just take the rest of the day off today. I always say that, and then I end up working on something, but maybe not today. I think I could use another day off. So we will see you back here tomorrow. Coffee with Kevin, first thing in the morning, 7 a.m. If you're not a member of Let's Truck Tribe, come on over and join us, letstrucktribe.com. Don't forget about our daily drop from now till, I don't know when. Every day leading up to the holidays. It's going to be a new item every day. You got 24 hours for each special, no codes. We make it nice and simple. Today's daily drop is 25% off all Primal Life organics. And if you spend more than $100, you're going to get a free toothbrush. How many of you have tried, let me check the chat room. How many of you tried the cinnamon tooth powder? And then there's the cinnamon shine, and then there's the cinnamon, I don't know. I call it atomic. There's some other word they use for it. How many of you have tried that stuff? Anybody? You should try it. It may be the hottest cinnamon I have ever tasted. Like, I like really hot stuff. I eat jalapenos all the time. The toothpaste, the cinnamon Ignite, that's what it is, Ignite. Boy, is that stuff hot. Holy cow. But it's one of those things that when you're done, your mouth feels really clean. Now, I also... They released a bunch of fruity flavors. I just don't like those. But the cinnamon is becoming my favorite. Takes a little while to get used to, but they also have the cinnamon in charcoal. Danny, if you don't like hot food, do not try the cinnamon. Hunter likes bubble gum. Oh, I can't do the sweet stuff with tooth powders. Ooh. The cinnamon I like, just takes a little getting used to. Now's your chance to try it out. Head on over to letstruck.com. We'll see you back here tomorrow morning. Be safe, be profitable, be fit and healthy. Always do the hard work and master the journey.